Hey everyone, Leo with The Dreaming Tree, and today we're putting together a freebie for Father's Day featuring a little bag and a nice little banner on the front that of course you can obviously customize for any occasion. So let's just hop right in here and get started. What we're going to do is we're actually going to put together all the flat elements first, and that will begin with this beautiful little the banner part, I should say. And we've got the cutout for the happy day. Father's is going to go in the center. As you can see, I've hit this with a little bit of ink around the perimeter. Just a color that's slightly darker than the AC Pool that we used for this. AC Pool being the name of the color in the AC cardstock swatch book. So we want to put this right in the center of our gold piece. Make sure you have a nice even border all the way around. Okay, and I'm just going to pop this underneath my mat and let that dry flat. Next, we have this little banner, and we have the caption cut out here. The father part is all together, so it should be pretty easy to maneuver. There are a series of little markers on the little curved banner portion to help you with the placement. And then the apostrophe and the letter S, they are separate. And I'm using my little pick-me-up tool here. I'm going to put that down first. And I'm just going to put a tiny little drop of glue on there and flatten that out a bit. And I don't know where my X-Acto is right now, so I'm just going to use my little razor blade. It gives me a nice pinpoint precision with grabbing whatever piece I have on my pick-me-up tool. And I'm going to use that as well for the caption itself. Now my glue is coming out rather thick right now, so I'm going to have to make sure to kind of dab that a little bit to thin out the glue so it doesn't come sputtering out. I'm just doing little dots. That's all you really need. And again, if you've got a little area where the glue came out a little too thick, just hit that with your finger. And again, make sure you use the little markers to help you with the placement of this. And that will ensure that you get it just where it needs to be. Okay, just like that. And let me grab my S, and we'll get that in place. Literally just 4 dots of glue on that one. Don't need a ton, and we do have markers for the S so that you get the placement spot on, just like that. Okay, so that's in place. Now, as far as the banner goes, we're going to take and we're actually going to use some foam squares to elevate this a little bit. And then what we want to do is we're going to take these pieces and we're going to glue these down right here flat. So it's going to give the appearance that this thing is dimensional, which is cool. Okay, so let's get that in place, and we're literally just putting this right down onto the gold shadow portion of this little cutout. And by shadow, I just mean that it's literally the same shape, just below it. Just like if you had a shadow, it would be on the ground. Okay, so just line that up nicely. There we go. And then we're going to grab our little foam squares here. And I'm going to use my white ones just because they won't show as much. And I think we could probably just get away with 3 of them. No need to waste our resources here if 3 will do the job. Okay, so we'll pop that right into place there, right in the center. Might help to kind of see both sides as I place this down. There we go, just like that. Voila, that looks really cool actually. Okay, so now all we need to do is put together the actual structure. We do have, there are some little donuts here not the sweet kind, the paper kind, these two little donuts. We're going to put those on this piece here with the little flap. Okay, we do have a series of holes here as well as on this piece here, but we're putting them on the actual flap. So grab one of those, and again with this, since it's so small, we don't really need a lot of glue. Just go easy on the glue there, and just match that up with the existing little cutout for the hole there. And get that in place. The rest of it will go easy. We'll put the actual banner on after we get everything assembled so that we don't mess anything up. There we go. Okay, so now all that's left to do, and I've taken and already kind of pre-folded everything here. You'll notice that there is a little score mark going down the center here, and that's just to help it fold. If you want, you can kind of train it a little bit. And then there's also like a little triangle sort of fold down here. And that's typical of this style of bag. But either way, what we're going to do is we're going to start with this tab here and apply our glue. Now this paper is kind of almost feels like it has a wax on it. It's not very porous. So you're probably not using the same type of paper. You don't need to worry about it. But if you do ever encounter a situation like this, just know that when you're working with paper like this that maybe isn't as textured or porous, you may need to spend a little extra time waiting for it to dry. And that's just common sense, I guess. Okay, so we're going to line that up with the tab and press that down into place. Now you see here, because it's not as porous, with this type of paper, it may have a tendency for that glue to really kind of sputter out and kind of come out and maybe potentially blemish your project a little bit. So just be careful with the glue if you're using a similar type of paper. If you're using just standard AC cardstock or any sort of textured cardstock, I think you're going to be okay. All right, so we've got that tab glued down. Now we're going to close it up by gluing this tab over here. Okay, very simple. Not difficult at all, very quick. And it's a good size little bag too. Okay, get your glue on there. I'm going to spread my glue out all the way to the very edge of the tab. Just so that when I line it up with the other side, it looks nice and flush. Now I'm actually doing this flat because the way that it's designed, it's pretty much like a symmetrical piece. And it should fit when it should fold flat when you fold it like this. Okay, so I've got it nice and lined up. I'm going to pull it up and then grab it and fold onto the seam that we just put glue on. Just make sure that that is nice and lined up. Okay. There we go. And give that a few seconds to set. Okay, so now you can see as I pre-folded the little score lines there, that is how this thing is going to fold. Now before we do that, we do have to get the bottom glued down. So let's get our tabs in place here, and we're going to put glue on all three of these tabs. And I'm going to be spreading that glue out to the edges again. I want it to look nice and flush there at the bottom. And we also want it to be nice and strong for whatever we put in there, so it doesn't just come falling out, obviously. Okay. There we go. And then when you close the lid here, just try to make sure that you line it up with this side here, the long tab. Get that nice and centered and lined up. The other two sides should just kind of fall into place. In my case, they are. And again, I am working with a paper that has kind of a sheen to it that I'm not used to, so I'm not really sure how it's going to behave right now. All I know is that I'm going to keep maintaining a downward pressure on these sides here until that glue really grabs a hold. Now, one other thing too, this is a white core paper, and when I was scoring it today, I used my solid score line or solid score wheel on my Cricut maker, and this paper has some glitter elements on it and those didn't score very well. Gave me some rough edges here, but that's okay. Probably should have went with the perforated score marks on this one, but either way. Okay, so once the bag's assembled, you'll want to throw a little bit of glue on the tabs inside here. Just go around, maybe a little bit in the center as well. Then we're going to take this piece and pop it in there, texture side or pattern side up if you're using a pattern, and just press that down. And that's going to help reinforce the bottom and make it look nice. Okay, so now that's going to close like this. Okay, I've got some gold cord here. I'm just going to slide it through the back, up through the front, and then just tie that into a nice little bow or a knot, probably a bow. We'll tie a knot and then make it a bow. But ultimately, the last thing to do is you can either glue this down or use a foam square and just pop dot it. I would put it right about here, just in the center of the bag, and that's pretty much it. So let me just do that real quick so you can take a look and see what the end result looks like. I'm going to do one here. I think 3 is enough for this one too. Okay. And let's take a look. Just make sure that you get it nice and centered. And it may help to actually bring the flap down to get a good idea of where to place this with the flap closed. Okay, and I'm going to put mine right about there. There we go. That looks great. Okay, so again, just tie it, do just a simple little knot like that, and then it's almost like you're tying your shoes. Like that. And then if you've got a little excess there and you don't like it, I need to pull this in a little bit, make the loops relatively the same length. And this is kind of a like a bungee sort of cord, not the kind that the thrill seekers use, but anyway, you get the idea, and there it is. Very simple, very quick, perfect for a small Father's Day gift. And again, you can certainly take this caption, black it out, get rid of the happy day, and maybe even this, just cut out your own font and put whatever you want on there. Could be Mother's Day, could be Father's Day. You could do happy birthday. Anyway, you guys are very creative. I'm sure you'll come up with a million ways to use this bag, but that pretty much does it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please visit our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our Man of the House SVG bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our dreamers. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL that you see at the bottom of your screen. So that's it, guys. That wraps it up for this one, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.